Hi, I'm Joy,
Hi, I'm Lorraine.
and this is Girlish Gurus. And Lorraine, why are we here?
We're here to talk about mid-lifestyle topics for women who are 45 and older to help you live your best, healthiest, and most fulfilled life. We're also going to have lots of fun along the way.
Be sure to stick around until the end for fun announcements and goodies you won't want to miss.
So let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of Girlish Gurus. I'm Joy.
And I'm Lorraine.
Oh, Lorraine. What are we talking about today?
Of course, we have a special guest,
Yes.
Kate Cherry, and I will get into her bio in a minute, but Joy and I have known Kate for 10 years, I think.
Gosh.
It's been a
Is
long
it, or
time.
over 10 years?
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, we met in a networking group. Kate has done photos for us because she's also a photographer, but we're not talking about that today. Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So I'll just jump into her bio and then we'll get right into it. Okay, so Kate Cherry is a wife, mom of 3, and holistic health coach, passionate about helping families uncover hidden contributors to chronic health struggles when answers aren't clear. Through MissioWay Health and Wellness, she helps families better understand how ingredients, environment, and everyday habits can impact health and equips them to build strong foundations for future generations. Welcome, Kate.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, we love that you're here today.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that we're talking about generational health.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
so important. And I think it's such a great topic to dive into, help people know that they can make small changes that honestly last a lifetime and can make a world of difference across families everywhere.
Yeah. And as a grandma, a nanny, I think it's so important. Of course, I used to tell you guys that I used to nag my kids with credentials because I was a health coach back in the day. I've kind of put that aside a little bit, but I totally get it. And we're going to jump into the health benefits that grandmas can contribute in the generational health realm. But let's get started with what led you on this path. Specifically, tell us about your family's health journey and how you started this whole business of MissioWay.
Yeah, no, that's such a great question, Lorraine. My health journey started, honestly, it actually started with me. So long ago when I was a teenager and just started having stomach issues and things that weren't settling right, and had gone to the doctor and they said, nope, everything looks great. But I still had these chronic stomach pains that would not go away. And it wasn't until I started kind of unpacking this idea of how food was impacting my system specifically, that I started to gain just a little bit of knowledge about, oh, it actually does matter what we put in our body, and fruits and vegetables are a great thing, and which I had already been eating some of that too. But what I didn't realize is that I was having some foods that were in my system that weren't jiving with my particular gut microbiome. And it wasn't until I had my first child that I was asking the question, okay, well, I'm pregnant now. What can I have? What can I not have? And my OB gave me a long list of all these different foods that I couldn't have, and that I had to heat up meat, and that I had to make sure eggs were cooked completely thoroughly, and that I couldn't take a whole bunch of different medicines and things like that. And I started to think, well, gosh, if this isn't safe while I'm pregnant, what makes it safe while I'm not? And so I started asking some questions. I started looking at ingredients, and I started pulling some different things out of our pantry that I knew were full of preservatives and things. And I was like, maybe this is why we're tired. Maybe this is why we always feel like we're run down and can't keep things going. So it started in baby incremental steps there. But then in 2015, when I had my second child, that's where everything truly changed. And it had to, because my son was a chronically ill infant, and I'd never experienced anything like it in my life. He had, goodness Lordy, he had colic, he had eczema. His little hairs all fell out of his head. Like, it was just sad.
Oh.
Poor baby he just couldn't get a break. It was like he caught a cold. It lasted for 3 weeks instead of just a few days. And it seemed to be thing after thing after thing. He would throw up a good bit. It seemed like when we started solid foods that he couldn't tolerate things. And then that's when the IgE allergies began, and he started getting hives, and then he became anaphylactic to a few things, which was very scary. I've never seen a person go through anaphylaxia from literally fine all the way to where you need to go to the hospital because it becomes life-threatening. Like, it's unbelievable to watch something like that happen. And trying to solve my child has been like a massive puzzle his entire life because he never actually fit in the box. They tried to keep putting him in the box, and we tried everything medically that we possibly could do to figure out what was going on. And right around 11 months old, and everybody kept telling me, oh, he was failure to thrive, like he was really small, like it was all these different things. And they kept telling me, well, he just needs to put in more calories. He just needs to eat more. He needs to, try a variety of different things and see what sticks. But around 11 months old, that was when he was diagnosed with something called eosinophilic esophagitis. It's called EOE for short, but it's a condition where a white blood cell that all of us have, called an eosinophil, decides that food or environmental things coming into your body are foreign substances. And what happens is those eosinophils come into the digestive tract, which they really don't belong there. And then they start attacking said food, environmental allergies, or whatever. And the tissue gets in the way and inflammation begins. And then scar tissue starts to form. And foods can start to get stuck in their esophagus, which is terribly uncomfortable. And you either have to force it down, you have to get rid of it out your mouth. Like, it's not enjoyable for anybody. And there's a lot of different side symptoms that can come with that too. And like I mentioned, like eczema and tummy pains and all of those kind of things. But our remedy for that, according to conventional medicine standards, was he needed to be on a PPI, a protein pump inhibitor. He needed to be on a daily steroid that he would swallow every single day to kill the eosinophils in his esophageal tract. And he could only have a very limited diet. So we were limited to, at one point, he was on 2 foods and hypoallergenic formula. That lasted for 7 months. It was a
Wow.
very long time for a 2-year-old to go through all of these things. And that's such a critical time to learn how to eat that eventually we had to go through feeding therapy and all of the stuff that came with it because he didn't learn how to use his tongue properly. He didn't learn to articulate the words that we all know and just come to know as we learn how to talk as young people. He had food aversions, all these different things. And so it led to just a whole cacophony of different things that we had to explore. But I knew when we were given that diagnosis that I did not want that to be the rest of his life. I was so sure that there had to be a better way. I just didn't know what that was. And so around 3 years old, he ended up getting a feeding tube. And that was the pinnacle of all of it because he just couldn't keep enough in to grow. And he was still on that failure to thrive threshold and had something they call a Z-score because he didn't even fit the metric of a number. Like, it was a whole thing. So from there, I decided we got to change. Like, something's got to give. Like, we were still on all the medicines, we were doing all of the elimination diets, but in order to test for EOE, the only way to truly get a diagnosis and to know where you are with things is you have to get an upper GI done. And what they do is a scope, and then they take biopsies of the tissue all along the GI tract and determine what the eosinophilic count is along those different areas. If it's anything higher than 15, you have active EOE. So you're looking for a number 15 or below. So his was always over 90. And we always needed to make sure to keep that in check because I knew that it would cause problems in the future. Everything from the food impactions to chronic irritation. I mean, it could lead to a whole plethora of different health issues. And so we needed to be very, very specific about that. And so when we finally had another scope after he was 3 years old. And he had been through so many endoscopies at this point, and that eosinophilic number was still really high. I said, we can't do this anymore. Like, I feel like we are trying to shoot spaghetti at a wall, hoping it will stick, trying to grapple at the different things that would just create a solution to this problem, but we never were able to get to the end result. And so, right around age 3, we ended up moving to South Carolina. And at that point, that's when I started figuring out, okay, who needs to be on my team? How do I figure this out from the inside out and start healing the root cause of something as opposed to just masking it and band-aiding it? Because that's all we had ever done. Steroids were just getting rid of the eosinophils here, but it wasn't keeping them from being released. Putting the proton pump inhibitor, the PPI, in his stomach was lessening the acid, which in theory should help with the esophagus and irritation, where the esophagus and the stomach meet. But it was only band-aiding the problem. It wasn't creating this beautiful harmony and balance in the body that would allow his body to digest foods the way a typical person would. And so I started putting together my team. I started doing research. I started asking all the questions, and I started not taking no for an answer. And over a period of time, I finally landed, and through many different practitioners and providers all across the country, and learning in different Facebook groups and places where people were talking about these very things I was looking for, I got in with a nutritionist about 6 years ago. And with his help, explaining my entire situation and all we'd been through, all we'd tried, I said, this is where I want to be. I want freedom with food. I want to be able to make sure my child can go to school. I don't want to be scared about what I'm putting in his body, but I also want to support this thing called a gut microbiome. I wasn't sure what it was at the time, to start causing the inflammation to go down. I knew at least that. I wanted to do all that. I said, I have no idea how to do that. I said, can you help me? And he said, yes, I think we can. And so incrementally, step by step by step by step, we started improving my son's health. And it is amazing to tell you that today, it has been now, like I said, 6 years since we have been on this holistic health journey with him. He now is back on the weight curve. We are off all medications. We are up to 55 plus foods. This child does not have stomach aches anymore. We don't have leg pains. It was the first year in his life this past year where he did not miss a day due to sickness, which was unheard of. When he
Wow.
gets sick, it's like hours. It's not days, weeks, months, whatever it was, and chronic illness all the time. It has been like a metamorphic turnaround for him, and has given us so much peace of mind knowing that I think we are making steps in the right place, and that we are supporting his gut health from the inside out and not just trying to band-aid a problem. Does that mean that modern medicine doesn't have a place? No, it absolutely does. But I am always now trying to hit things from a holistic gut root level first. And then if we need additional help because we've laid at least the foundation, but need the extra to get them over the hump, then so be it. But 9 times out of 10, we will go a more holistic route with his health. And it's been the most beautiful thing. Like, his eczema's gone. Like, I haven't had eczema issues in years. And the most amazing thing I heard after working with my nutritionist for, trying to think of when we did these gut tests and when we finally figured out how everything was working together in his system. I think it was about 5 months after. Yeah. Maybe not even that long. Maybe it was 4. My son came up to me for the very first time in his life. Now, mind you, he is now 4 years old at this point. But we had removed a couple of foods that we figured out were triggers. And then we also started supporting his gut health. And he said, Mom, I'm hungry. Can I have something to eat? He had never once told me that his entire life, because his gut had been like so tight and messed up and inflamed and all the things. He just had no appetite. And gosh knows we were trying to force feed him with formula that was man-made and synthetic and all the things. And It was rough. I mean, it was really, really rough. And he hated it. I hated it. The medicine was horrible that we were trying to shove down his throat. Like it was just not ideal. So once we got past all of that, to further answer your question, Lorraine, of why I started MissioWay Health and Wellness, that's why. Because I wanted to be a beacon of light. I wanted to be a person who could show other moms, other parents, that even if you've been given essentially a diagnosis that feels abysmal, that feels like it's just dire and that you cannot get through it, and that this is the only way, sorry, you're just gonna have to live with it the rest of your life. It's chronic and there's no cure. There are ways to help your system. There are ways to figure out a more feasible way of life so that your child does not have to suffer quite as much as what they tell you. Now, I realize different conditions require different procedures, different remedies, and some journeys are going to look a lot different than others. But the biggest thing that I have ever taken away from this is that I didn't quit. I didn't just take okay as an answer from my doctors, because in my gut, I knew that there had to be something better and there had to be something different and something much more sustainable and viable for our family.
Kate, I remember when you were going through this
Me
in the
too.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember how frustrated, how scared you were. I remember the talks that we used to have about the formula, about the feeding tube, about all of that. And you have always amazed me because you took all those steps. You didn't give up. You did the research. You continued to search for what your son needed. And you knew it was more than medicine because at the time, maybe the meds were helping him, right? As you were searching for those other steps. But you knew you needed something else. You knew that he needed to thrive in a holistic way, that this poor little boy needed to eat and enjoy foods.
Yeah.
And I think you have paved the way and did a lot of the legwork for a lot of the parents out there, because they will get a lot of information that you've already done the research on.
I've done a lot of deep
Yeah.
dives on a lot of issues and still learning every single day. And while I would love to say that we have completely solved my son's issues, we haven't. We're still on this journey. But we have made so many strides in the right direction that I feel like now that we have this really strong foundation, we can only go up from here. And as long as we maintain that, then the rest we can isolate, figure out, okay, if you have this issue, well, we know that this is all right. So let's figure out this particular rabbit trail, or let's figure this one out, or whatever we have to do. And that's what I love helping parents do, is put the pieces together of, if something feels wrong, or you know that there has to be a better way, let's look at that. Let's look at that and figure out, okay, is your foundation strong? And then from here, what resources can we get you to figure out your particular needs so that you can start solving things from the inside out too? Because I'll tell you, for us, it's been a game changer.
Yeah. And you've kind of addressed the fact that you've kind of changed the way you think about health or
100%.
health care. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. And I've seen it. I've seen it. I've experienced. I can't tell you how many doctors we have been through and practitioners. And there are some that are absolutely amazing. And I will put them on my team any day. And there are others that we're just going to go different ways because we just have different philosophies and different approaches. And they may work for some people, but maybe they're not great for our
Yeah.
particular needs and case. And so that's the direction we've chosen to go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, that leads to my first question, which is, you're living in this environment today, and there's a lot of issues with that. But how do you get started? Like, when you're overwhelmed and you're in the thick of it, and I've experienced this in my own practice when people would come in, clients, and they would sit down and you're just in a tornado, you're in a whirlwind. And
You really are.
yes, and it's not even the same thing for me. Like when you had your child and you were, honestly, that's like a matter of life and death. I mean, it really
At times
is.
It really was.
And you don't know what the next day is going to bring. And that's a level of overwhelm that it's hard to wrap your mind around, especially being a young mom. And
Yeah.
I can't even imagine it. So if you're in that situation, you've been there, where do you start? What do you do? How do you start?
Fabulous question. And that's the very question I asked myself. I mean, there's so much information out there. I mean, we are in the era of information. I mean, it's overwhelming how much is out there. And I'll be honest, like researching it myself, some is accurate, some is not. And how do you vet through it? And also, some information actually might really work for one person, but might be outright dangerous for someone else.
Right.
And so,
Right.
like in my son's case, with certain allergies, there are certain foods that can calm inflammation down, but I can't put it in his system or it'll wreak havoc on everything. And so, just knowing all of that kind of stuff a bit through trial and error, but then also doing testing and things of that nature. I always tell my moms, start with one baby step at a time. That's how habits are built in the first place that are sustainable and long lasting. And if you try to do everything at once, it A becomes overwhelming, but B, then you're not really sure what's working and what's
Mhm.
not, what caused the transformation or caused the not so great transformation. And so I always tell everybody, if you can start foundationally and looking at your habits. So you need to look at your nutrition. That's number one. And that's a whole thing to unpack in and of itself, right? So looking at your foods that you're eating. But the easiest way I can say that is looking at eating the rainbow. So if you start to put a lot of color on your plate and start putting color on your child's plate or your grandchild's plate, whomever, that's where you can start foundationally of building healthy habits. One of the coolest things I ever found, and I've actually incorporated my other kids into this as well, is these little diagrams that you can get, especially if you have young children. This is a real fun game for them to play.
Or grandchildren.
Or grandchildren. Yes, yes, grandchildren.
Lorraine.
Absolutely grandchildren. This is actually the best because then you can be the greatest nana or grandpa or whomever you want to be.
Yeah.
But it makes it a lot of fun. But you get these little sheets that are actual rainbows, and you go, it has each day on it, and you write down, oh, have I had a red food today? Oh, have I had an orange food today? And it becomes a game. And then they start to look for stuff like that in the refrigerator. And when you start teaching people about these things, and namely children, they become long lasting habits that they can take with them the rest of their lives.
Mhm.
Instead of thinking, oh, what haven't I had today? They'll start to think, oh, I've had this, 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 and this. And that kind of stuff will start to make them feel better because that's another thing we talk a lot about. How does the food make you feel? Oh, it made me feel really good. Fantastic. Then let's eat some more of that. And it doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself of all the tasty and goody things that are out there. I mean, we've all had them and I love them too. But it does mean being aware of what you're putting in your body and then how you're feeling about it with all of that. And also checking your symptoms. And so, if you, for older children or for adults, a lot of times what I'll recommend is putting together a food journal and documenting your history of your food. And it doesn't sound, it may sound more daunting than it is, but I promise it's actually quite easy and kind of fun. But putting down each day, like for breakfast, this, lunch, this, dinner, this, and then maybe a couple snacks in between. And the time doesn't, I mean, as long as it's relative, it's good. I mean, you don't have to be like super picky about it. If you want to keep it super organized and say like at 10:02, I had this, you can, but you don't have to. But then looking at what kind of symptoms do I have after that? Do I feel great? Am I tired a few hours later? Maybe I have some indigestion. Maybe my stomach doesn't feel so great. Maybe I have some rhinitis, like where your nose is running or you have postnasal drip in your throat. Maybe your throat feels itchy, like all these different things that you can start to note. And honestly, you note them whenever they happen. So this could be within minutes of eating your food. This could be within hours. This could be within days because the foods in our system trigger the gut response, which also triggers how we feel outwardly. And learning about those kind of things was groundbreaking for me. And that's where I started. All the details and everything else came later. But if you can get some of these foundational things, your nutrition specifically, in check, then the rest can build from there.
Well, is it ever too late to start working on those changes? I mean, I think for you, with having a young child and you're having to hit the ground running, like you're starting from ground zero, that's a kind of a no-brainer. You are able to walk that path and start that journey from the very beginning. But a lot of us, say, for example, perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal women,
Mhm.
we've gone through a transition later in life and we've already had decades of living in one particular way. And so now you're at a point where, okay, my body's changing.
Mhm.
And how can and this is something actually I know, Lorraine, we've talked about this so much in your health coaching days, and thank God I had you with me when I was going through that transition. It was a huge help for me. But how can you sort of, is it ever too late to start making those changes, I guess, and to try to find a path through whatever situation you're dealing with as you go through transitions like that? Does that make sense?
100%. Yes. Um, so I would always ask the question, is it ever too late to feel better and to feel your best? And I would
Good
say
one.
the answer to that was no. So no, there's never a time that's too late to start putting these incremental changes into place. I mean, even me being where I am in my life, like I had decades of eating like artificial sweeteners and things that did a number on my gut, and I didn't even know it at the time. I thought it was normal to have stomach pains every single day. But then when I started changing out my diet and also paying attention to how I feel, that's where the revolutionary change began. Did it take me a little bit longer to figure out some of those triggers and identify some of the patterns? Maybe. But I feel so much better because of it. Like, I don't get stomach pains anymore unless something's really wrong. And it used to be like a daily occurrence for me. And I did not know that it was artificial sweeteners that were tearing up my gut. That, and then also figuring out the preservatives that were in foods. I had no idea. I never thought about reading a label. I had never had food allergies before going to college. And then I developed a shrimp allergy, and I'm like, oh, great. Where's this coming from? And I had never thought twice that, oh, maybe something's wrong inside that's causing all of these things to happen. I just thought, oh, here's another thing to add to the list. It's just
Yeah.
keep going and call it normal. Or the worst is when you go to the doctor and they say, nah, it's just you're getting older. Oh,
Right.
like, no, 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 no. I don't buy that. I just don't. Oh, it's because you're a woman. What?
I
Oh my
know.
gosh.
That's just the
Okay.
craziest thing. I
It's
mean, come on.
Yeah.
crazy. Come on. I'm just like, guys, there has to be better ways, better answers, better everything.
Yes.
And that's where like I just don't take the answer as okay, which I know drives my husband crazy sometimes. He's like, Kate, you're never satisfied. I'm like, I know, I'm never satisfied.
Hey, it's working. It's
It
working.
That's
is. It
right.
is. Well,
And
and
actually,
it was so important for me to be like, nope, we're gonna just try this. We're gonna keep going. We're
yeah.
gonna find the answers. And we did. And
Yeah.
so and again, like I would encourage anyone out there, like if something feels off, check it out.
Yeah.
Elicit that extra help. Research a few things. Don't overwhelm yourself with Google though, because it can be too much. But find your trusted
Yeah.
partner, someone who can walk you through a journey of making sure you get that foundation solid and then giving you different resources or being a great referral partner, even for those who are specialized in certain things. Because some of us do need specialists. Like having my nutritionist was one of the biggest things I could have ever asked for. And if you had asked me at the beginning of our EOE journey if a nutritionist would be so critical, I would have been like, maybe. I mean, just food, right?
Right.
No
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
This
Food is
Aha.
is
medicine. Yeah.
That's
groundbreaking.
right. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you feel like that your start here approach is the best way to get started? Does it?
Yeah. So start here, meaning figuring out where you are food wise. Like take a good inventory of what it is you're eating every day. And then ultimately coming up with a food journal to say, how am I feeling? Do I feel okay? Have I noticed any patterns? And that's kind of starting to put the puzzle together. And if everything looks good there, then you start taking inventory of your environment. What kind of cleaning products are you using? Do you have mold in your house? What kind of things are you putting on your skin, on your body? Like your skin is your biggest organ. You got to take care of it. But there are certain things, i.e., sunscreen, as an example. Some are great. Others I wouldn't put near my skin because of the chemicals that are in it. And so learning all of that has been revolutionary for me of, okay, how do I figure out what works best for me and my family? And then once I have my go-to staples, those start to become normal patterns and habits in my life. And then I can grow from there.
Perfect. All right, so what are the three biggest things you'd clean up in your house and pantry? If you could just give us a couple of pointers on that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to chat with you about that. So, one of the first things that I would look at for cleaning up a pantry is I would look for your foods that have a lot of preservatives in them. There are a bunch of different preservatives that have actually been banned over in Europe that are still okay for consumption over here. And it really bothers me that we don't have like a world standard of what is actually safe for our bodies and what's not. And while some of these ingredients may not bother some people, sometimes they will. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is this stacking syndrome. So you may have a food, a lot of it actually, but you're starting to push your threshold up and up and up and up and up. And the issue with that, when you start to push it up and up and up and up and up, is that if you have another thing that comes in and bothers your system, then it causes the symptoms to start to erupt. So maybe a food doesn't bother you one day, but then you have it 6 weeks
Mm.
later and you've had all these other additives things, and suddenly you have like a massive reaction, or maybe even a small one. I mean, either side of that, it can work.
Mhm.
But the more that you can pull your triggers down and more you can pull that inflammation down, the better it is for not maximizing your threshold. One of the easiest ways to do that is to look at your foods and take an inventory of preservatives. I mean, some of the ones that I try to keep out of my food would be BHT and BHA, potassium bromate, those kind of things. And in addition to that, I also take an inventory of my food and look at artificial sweeteners. Anything that has sucralose, nope, out. Anything that has aspartame, same thing, out. Splenda is sucralose essentially. Like you don't want that stuff in your food.
Mhm.
And then taking it a step further would be the high fructose corn syrup. And that stuff is like highly addictive. Like
Oh,
you put
yeah.
that in food and you just want to consume and consume and consume.
Mhm.
So I try to get rid of all of those kind of things. Also, so it's food that my body understands. What I've learned over the years is that, we eat a lot of stuff like fast food and things that are chock full of preservatives and things that keep that shelf life alive for as long as humanly possible. And our body doesn't recognize it as real food. And then it starts sending signals off to your immune system like, ooh, this doesn't look right. And it's like this whole huge conversation between your brain and your gut and this thing called a vagus nerve, which I think you guys have talked about a little bit on your podcast.
Just a little.
Yeah,
Hmm.
just a little. Fascinating, fascinating
Hmm.
topic. Like I
Yeah.
am starting to do deep dives into this and it is opening my eyes to a whole new other world.
Yeah.
But the whole point is if you nourish your body with good, wholesome nutrition, then you set the stage for bringing inflammation down and therefore allowing your body to survive when you have different things coming at it all day long, which we all do. I
Right.
mean, we live in an environment now, it's not clean, not to
Right.
say that it's ever been quote unquote clean. We've always had bacteria and germs and all that, and that stuff's not necessarily bad. That actually helps our immune systems get stronger, right? But what I'm talking about is the pollution. I'm talking about the different chemicals that we use to spray our crops, the pesticides that we put out in our yard to kill all the mosquitoes, and how we bleach the side of our house because we have to take all the mold off of it and we have to pressure wash it because it fits within HOA standards and all the things. All of that, as it gets into the runoff of our soil, as it gets into our air and all of those things, it matters. And so you're being bombarded by those things all day, every day. And a lot of it's out of our control. So, what are the
Right.
things we can control? That's why I keep coming back down to foods and making sure that the house in which we live is also a good place so that we can make sure that the air we're breathing, the water we're drinking, the chemicals that we have or don't have are not wreaking havoc on our system. So, to go back to your question, Joy, not only would I do an inventory of food and looking at preservatives and looking at um, just artificial sweeteners and things of that nature, I would also do an inventory of your cleaning supplies, the things that we breathe in, the things that we have on our skin. I do my best to use companies that are considered more green and use essential oils for fragrance. I try to get as many artificial fragrances out because it really bothers our allergies now. I can't even walk down the grocery store aisle where they sell detergent without coughing. Like it
Mm.
actually makes my throat feel funny. And it's because I've been away from it for so long. There was a time I thought that smelled amazing. I was like, oh, look at that, all clean. But
Yeah.
not now. Not now. And especially after I have watched those kind of chemicals tear up my son's skin. Nah, no thanks.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have moved to alternatives and I have a bunch of different brands that I have tried and I'm still learning about different ones, but um tons of different companies out there to research and to see who might be a good fit for you. But I would look for things that are like animal and cruelty free, but also that use very simple ingredients that you can recognize and pronounce. But even if you can't, look it up on your phone. Make sure like
Mhm.
it's not just a fancy name for vitamin C or something like that, you know? And that's where the information era that we're in can actually be really advantageous and like to your benefit because you have a medley of resources right there in your hand every single day in time
Yeah.
that we've never had that kind of availability in our lives.
Right.
But the other thing I would caution against is if you do some of these deep dives, don't let yourself become so consumed down the rabbit trails of like, oh gosh, everything's going to give me cancer and everything's going to make me die and I don't know what to do anymore. Because honestly, that kind of stress can also wreak havoc on your body and can tear up your immune system and cause a whole medley of other problems. Like even if you're doing everything else right, if you don't have it right here, it will never be right down here in the
Mhm.
gut area. So you have to have that beautiful balance and do incremental baby steps, one thing at a time.
Yeah. I know we've shared, and I just want to pop it in here. EWG.org is a good, they have that Skin Deep app where you
Yeah,
can check all those chemicals and stuff. So it's
yeah,
EWG.org. Yeah, that's a good resource for that.
absolutely. And they're good
Yeah.
for coming up with the dirty dozen as well
Right.
with the
Right.
foods, as well as the clean 15, which I use to kind of I can't buy everything organic.
Right.
Quite frankly, it's just cost prohibitive on our family's budget. And I get that. And it is for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
especially those like if you're on a retirement budget and not
Mm.
bringing any income in, like that can be a lot. So I try to use that just as a guide to say, okay,
Right.
I'm going to get organic as much as I can, but also shopping stores that make sense for prices. Because if you're paying $8 for a box of strawberries, they only last like a day and a half. That's a lot of money
Yeah.
that keeps like
Yeah.
starting to add up. But if you can find them for 350, yay, it's a bargain.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what I want to talk about now are the hidden clues that the body may be giving us. Like, how do you tell, like, specifically, like with children, what are some overlooked signs that a child may be under, their body may be under stress?
Yep. That's a great question. And honestly, one that I didn't know a lot of the answers to until recently, because I always thought looking at my own children, hearing other moms and grandmothers talk about their beautiful babies and grandbabies and all the things, that it was just normal for kids to have a runny nose. Or it was just, it's just seasonal allergies. It's just, we have to give them some Zyrtec and call it a day. I didn't know that outbursts and mood swings could be indicative of their gut screaming for help. I
Mhm.
didn't know that being lethargic and not just like tired because you've been playing outside all day. That's normal. But being tired and not wanting to go outside and play or feeling like they would rather just be inside, not going outside and getting the vitamin D that they need from the sunshine, like all of those kind of things. I didn't know that that could also be an indication of something wrong. And I didn't know that stomach pains, not chronic stomach pains, but stomach pains from here and there could also be an issue of gut health. And so when I started looking at all of these things, I started thinking, oh, there's a lot more out there that I didn't even know was a thing. There's a thing also called allergy shiners. Like, so if you get these dark
Yes. Hmm.
circles under your eyes, oftentimes it's your immune system saying, hey, something's up. Or if you get just different rashes, like eczema, for example. We think, oh, it's just a little patch of eczema, not a big deal. That can also be related to gut health. And while if it's chronic, if it's like all over the body, or you have like this massive thing on your face, obviously that would usually prompt people to say, oh, something is definitely wrong.
Right.
But little patches behind the knee, or maybe little patches on the wrist or in the elbow or something like that, and like, oh, just slap a steroid on it, it'll be fine. Yes, that might solve it for the interim, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're solving it from the inside out. And something that I've
Yeah.
learned about eczema in particularly is that you really have to attack that from two different sides. You have your gut health, but you also have your topical health. So you have your skin as your organ where all of the issues are happening, and you need to treat it there. That's a way to do it. And there are natural remedies to do that as well. You don't have to use steroids, but for some, that may be what you need. It all depends on your specific case and all the things that happened with that. And we've tried both. But if you don't start looking at the gut health, it's likely going to come back. And so when I started looking, especially at my son's issues with the eczema issue, because he had a lot of eczema for a long time, and it was clear like that something was wrong. But then as we started patching up his gut health, things got better. But then you would get a patch here and you would get a patch there. And I'm like, what are we not doing right inside that's causing these flare-ups to happen? And so after a lot of time, and this was not an overnight success story for us. I mean, it's taken us a long time to get here. We were able to start putting pieces together that he just stopped getting it. Like it doesn't happen anymore. I don't think he's had eczema in 4 or 5 years. I mean, our allergist keeps asking, do you want us to, redo your prescription of the Metazone? I'm like, no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be in that place right now and feel like we have some tools in our tool belt. But it took us a while to figure out what those tools were, and then also what was going to work specifically for us. And so, to your question, those are the kind of symptoms that I would look for, or some of the smaller, let's just sweep it under the rug, whatnot, and also looking for patterns. So let's say your child or your grandchild has little tummy aches after they eat a little dish of ice cream. Make a note of that. Maybe try it again and see in like a couple of days if they have the same kind of reaction. And if they do, you might be onto something that maybe they have an intolerance to milk. Maybe it's something that's just not jiving with the gut bacteria that they have in their particular system. And there are different things that you can do to either help that, or you can move to alternatives that don't have dairy that taste really good too. We have a lot of those in our family because milk is one ingredient we absolutely can't do, not because of intolerance, but because of IgE allergies, where it's like anaphylactic. Like it's not good, not
Right.
good at all.
Yeah.
So I have to be very, very, very careful with that. I can't even do cross-contamination. Like that one's pretty serious. Thankfully, we don't have a ton of those, but that is one. But those are the kind of symptoms I would look for. And also, like I said, the rhinitis. And so one of the symptoms that we've actually had for a very long time, and I thought maybe it was just an EOE symptom. I thought, oh, we're just allergic to pollen or whatever, was chronic throat clearing. And so it was like, like that all the time. Sometimes to the point where it would get irritating to everyone around. It was like,
Right.
like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
But then to find out, and then I was like, is it just a habit? Like, is this like a nervous tick or like something? You start to go to all sorts of resources and thoughts and ideas about it. But then as you start realizing that you have periods where it doesn't happen, you're thinking, wait, what's different? And then that's what I've noticed most recently for us, probably within the last year, is when I have finally uncovered this one because the throat clearing went on for so long. And kind of like a trying to clear it out of the back of your throat. It was like a rhinitis is what it was.
Right.
Hmm.
And I thought, gosh, is this due to acid reflux? Is it due? And there's lots of different things it could be. But I think that there was a specific thing that we added, a supplement that we added that helped cut down on inflammation. We just don't have that problem anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, all this time I've thought that this was just how it's supposed to be. This was just something we're gonna have to deal with. And daggone, I'm fairly confident now that it is a reaction to certain foods. And so like we've come up with different homeopathic ways to, solve for that because he will still get flares from time to time, but I solve it within like an hour and then it's gone for the rest of the day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. Who knew? Like for years I thought that was okay and it just wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
Kate, you have given the parents, the grandparents, everybody out there a head start on all of this because you really did do all the groundwork, right? So you figured out food is medicine. And for
And
many people out there, they may not have even tried that. They may not have even started there and just went right to, okay, what prescriptions do we need to take care of this?
that's
Right.
what
So
we tried.
so here you're educating parents, hey, start listening to what is going on in your child's body and what could be happening in their gut. And as far as paying attention, like you said, with the food log, doing a food log along with all the symptoms that they might be having.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
beautiful thing is that this can work for adults too. I mean, I've had people talk about it who are in their 50s and their 60s and 70s and be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I never knew that this was a thing. And I was like,
Mhm.
we don't know what we don't know, right?
That's right. And allergies can present themselves. They can manifest in postmenopausal,
Yes, they
your
can.
postmenopausal years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that's something that you've got to be aware of. Like nobody's talking about that, but that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when your gut changes and the hormones change, it secretes like a whole different response from your immune system, and it changes the way that your immune system responds to things. So yeah,
Yeah.
the more you can support that gut health, making sure that the gut microbia, if you will, are getting the right amount of nutrients, minerals, vitamins, like a lot of the micronutrition, if you will, and being able to support that and figuring out like in your gut. I keep calling it your gut because that's where your immune system is pretty well housed, almost all of
Yeah.
it. And so if you can support that, then it will set you up for success that much more when you start to experience some of these symptoms. You're like, oh, maybe something needs to be a little bit more supported, or, maybe a certain food is reacting differently in my system than it used to. I mean, like I said, I never had allergies until I went to college. Like my entire childhood was great. And then all of a sudden, I had shrimp one day and I get all these little hives along my jaw. And it just progressively got a little bit worse each time until it got to the point I was like, absolutely no more.
Right.
Hmm
But,
Probably environmental
oh,
things,
definitely.
stress, right? You're now in
hmm
universities. The
Yes.
stress levels are
Oh my
probably
God.
off the
They were through
charts.
the roof,
Yeah.
through the roof.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that point in time, I wasn't doing anything to really support my gut health. I mean, yes, I would eat fruits and vegetables because I felt better when I ate them, but I didn't really think about it much. But I almost wonder now, like if I were to go, I think I would want to be allergy tested first before I just pop one in my mouth and see what happens. But if I could, I wonder if my gut has changed because that's the other beautiful thing is that this body of ours is equipped to do so much, including healing, if we give it the right stuff to
Right.
do the thing it's supposed to do. But if we
Right.
keep bombarding it with all the things that it's like, oh, this doesn't feel like food, or oh, this is really abrasive to the system and all the things, it can't function at its highest capacity. And so I love the fact that we were given this vessel to just do its thing. And we don't even have to think about it half the time. And we do have to think about what we put in, right? But then you give it all the right tools, like it just magically puts it all together for you.
Yeah.
It is
It's
pretty
true.
amazing. Yep,
It
that's
is
for
true.
sure.
One thing we haven't discussed, and I'm not sure if it was coming up, but probiotics.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, here we go. Lorraine.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I mean,
Important stuff.
yeah. So I'm a big proponent of the probiotics, and I know, but there are so many different strains. So that's another thing, especially if you're an adult, if you're a child, or whatever. So maybe you want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure, I can talk about
Yeah.
probiotics.
Yeah.
That is something that I asked our allergist years ago. Now, this was before they became like a big mass thing, and I think more
Yeah.
research was done. And I said, do you think a probiotic could help my son's gut health? This was before my nutritionist and all the gut health work that we did. And he said, I don't think they'll hurt, but I don't know that they're scientifically proven to do a whole lot. I was like, okay. So I just kind of left it at that. But what I have learned over the years is different probiotics work differently in different people's systems. I think that's why it was so hard for so long for there to be any perhaps credible science or backing or research or whatever is because it's like it's not a one size fits all. And that
Right.
is one thing that has always frustrated me about modern medicine, as great as it can be in some cases. Like, I mean, it truly has been life-saving and incredible, and it saved my kid's life. Like, I'm not anti conventional medicine. I think it absolutely has its root and its place, and it's an incredible resource that we have. And I think we are in one of the most incredible times of our human history to be able to have that tool at our disposal when we need it. So it absolutely has its place. But when it comes to a lot of the treatment plans, I feel like a lot of them are one size fits all. And I that cannot be further from the truth because every single gut system is made up differently. We all have different bacteria, we all have different things in our system that react different ways to different things. It's almost like a fingerprint. Like we all have fingerprints, right? But they're all different. And so I think of that with our gut microbes or microbiology as well. And specifically when it comes to probiotics, some are going to be more helpful than others for different people depending on your gut makeup. And there are a few that I know help with reduction of inflammation. Saccharomyces boulardii is one of those. And I know that that is one that I have used in my son's gut health that seemed to make a difference in a good way. There's also another strand, rhamnosus, that can also help with reduction in inflammatory symptoms. And then when you have others that maybe don't make a difference, there are some probiotics that could actually make it worse. And that's why I think it is so important that you do your own gut test with a provider who can tell you exactly where you are deficient and where you are elevated. Because if you are trying to just guess and throw it at the wall and hopeful that something will work, something will stick, there is a chance that you could end up doing more harm than good, and you might feel really bloated. You might feel really sick. I mean, maybe it upsets your whole digestion. You have to worry about diarrhea or constipation or any of those other things that keep our system flowing and working really, really well. So, the best suggestion I have for that is to find someone who can help figure out exactly what your gut microbiome says. Figure out what gut bacteria you have in there. Figure out if any of your levels are elevated. I mean, we all have candida in us, but too much of that's really bad and can cause a bunch of problems.
Mhm.
And so that once you understand what that is, then you can find something to help you support or perhaps bring down inflammation too, so that your gut works in a better harmonious, synchronous way.
Good answer.
Thanks.
Yes, good answer.
Yeah.
Lorraine's the probiotic queen over
No,
there.
I
I need to
love.
talk to you some more then because I feel like you could probably educate me and figure out exactly what's going on.
I don't know. It sounds to me like you're
Yeah,
uh
yeah.
you're climbing the charts there. Yeah.
Thanks,
Oh.
Joy. I
Hmm.
appreciate that.
Kate, it is obvious how much research, how much you have delved into the
Hmm.
necessity of the health of your family, and that really, I can't say this enough for the people listening to this. You've really gave them a good start, a great
Thank you.
start. Yeah, to know where to
I'm
go. Yeah.
I am so passionate about helping people get started because I was scared. I had no idea where to start. And honestly, with information overload, I was paralyzed by decisions. I didn't want to do something that was told by an influencer or that I heard on the street that sounded good, but ultimately trying to do that would do harm,
Mhm.
especially to my child who at that time couldn't really tell me what was going on because he was just so
Right.
little. But even me, like, I didn't want to do something with my gut health that would either cause more damage than good or something that I had to backpedal on a whole lot. Now, that's not to say that we should be scared of trying everything and anything because I got to that place too. And I didn't want to do anything. And I was told by my doctors, less is more. Don't give your child all these things because he might react. And so this paralysis by fear is a real thing. And if anybody has ever seen the movie Inside Out 2, and there's a little character in there named Anxiety, oh man, I resonated with that so well because when it came to decisions, and if for anybody who has not seen the movie Inside Out 2, there's this character anxiety, and it gets to this place where it is in this cyclical thought process and she can't break it. And she's having a panic attack is what's happening. And in that cyclical process of thinking, she had to slowly come out of it to regulate herself. And that's where I felt I was for quite a long season because I was so scared to try anything because I might mess it up or I might do something that it caused quite a bit of stress in me, upset my whole gut microbiome because stress is not great for the body all the time.
No.
Sometimes we need it for fight and flight if
Yeah.
we've got to save ourselves, but you don't want to be in that all day long every day. So finally working again with my nutritionist and with someone who I found I could trust, that's what started unlocking that anxiety piece for me and all of that decision paralysis and allowed me to very gently and very slowly just start trying one thing at a time. I didn't jump off in the deep end and said, okay, here, let's go. We're going to do all the things. That I think would have been reckless. I think it would have been dangerous for my kid, for me. It would have been horribly overwhelming and it never would have been sustainable in our family. So the more that I can equip women, mothers, grandmothers, you name it, to help provide for their family in a way that is simple, that is bite-sized, and that is not overwhelming and not scary. Is it going to be a little timid? Maybe so. And you're like, ooh, maybe not, maybe
Mhm.
not. But if we can take baby steps and go at a very small pace at a time, those are the habits that you're going to end up keeping for life. Those are the changes that are going to end up stacking on top of themselves in a good way and start really being a catalyst of change in your body so that you start thriving instead of surviving and that you start feeling your best and truly living your best life that you've ever had.
Oh, I know. That was like, Kate, you have just said it in a nutshell.
That's right.
In a
Now I
nutshell.
now I
Yeah.
don't even know if I got to ask the next question.
Go for
But
it, Joy. It's all good.
so generational health means something different now, I think, than it used to when
Mhm.
nutrition and cleaning and things like that were more simple.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, we've gone through a period of change where chemicals have become prominent in our food and in our cleaning products and whatever. But in order to establish habits that promote generational health in the family, then I think that if there's a way we can give a few quick pointers on that. And also, I got to recognize my girl Lorraine here.
Mhm.
She's a nanny. So nannies want to spoil their little ones, right? They want to spoil the greens. Maybe I should let you talk about this, Lorraine.
Well, I do spoil them. As a matter
I
of
know you
fact,
do. I know you do.
as a matter of fact, the kids will go, and every once in a while, I do give them a hot dog, or
Mhm.
because it's like a barbecue we're
Yeah,
doing,
of course.
or ice cream or whatever. And there'll be several times where they'll go home to their parents and say, "Naughty gave me this, this, and this," and then I'll get a text. It's like the health coach is giving my children.
I
Good.
do love a
I
hot
will.
dog once in a while. I just got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being reprimanded. I'm being teased. Like, the health coach is doing
Yeah,
this, but
of
but
course.
I know that I try my best. So there are things that we can do, and I will let you share them. But there are things where we can still spoil them,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
not necessarily affect their gut health.
But also promote habits that
Yeah,
create generational health because that's what we're going for.
that's true.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think this idea of generational health and promoting that through all of the different generations is so important because we are building the foundation of the next generation. And the more that we can gently, not berating them over the head or keeping them away from everything, I think that's the wrong
Right.
approach. I really do. I think that they will develop unhealthy relationships with food
Yeah.
both
I've
ways.
seen it. I have seen it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. And so, like, if you placate everything that they ever want, only give them what they want, that's one relationship with food, right? And
Hmm.
and their bodies will pay for that. But also keeping them from everything where they are scared to death or they feel like they have to judge everyone else. And then you have the the whole emotional side of it and, socialization and things like that, that can also be just as detrimental. And
Or and in this case, this was somebody I knew personally, um, wouldn't let their children have any candy at all. And now, as an adult, she hoards it and hides it and eats
yeah,
it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe, we've always been told like moderation is key. And I do believe that that is true. Again, you have to look at your specific child, grandchild, yourself, all of that, and go back to the answer of how does this make me feel? And I think that if we do things where we just have a little bit here or a little bit there, you're not going to completely undo your entire gut microbiome if you do it occasionally. You know what I mean? It's the chronic having it several times a week, multiple times a month, like all that you start to stack in a bad way.
Right.
And that's just something to keep in mind. And that there are some foods like in our family, we just can't do milk. Like it's a life or death matter. And so how do you work around that? And how do you still spoil your grandbabies? Which of course you want to spoil your grandbabies. Like I'll do it too one day. And I love to be able to give my son treats. Like he can't do cakes and ice creams and cookies and all of the things that are at all of the birthday parties. But what are some things that we can do that are in place of that that honestly taste as just as good and have been a fabulous substitute for all of his health issues? I mean, I'll give you an example. Like last year, we had a birthday party and we had it at a trampoline park. And at the trampoline park, they always have pizza, they always have soda, and I think that's it. Oh, you can bring your own cake. Okay, so that's typical party food, right? What was incredible to me though, and I had talked with the owners ahead of time and I said, hey, look, my child has food allergies. I can't do anything that you're serving. Is it okay if I bring my own in? And they said yes. So number one, being able to have a conversation. If you're taking them somewhere or whatever, there are ways to bring food with you if you need to. But two, there are a lot of brands and varieties out there that you can spoil your babies with and spoil those grandbabies to the nth degree, and they will think you are the best person in the world. Here's how we did that. There are different cake mixes that you can get at health food stores off Amazon. I know Whole Foods has several, lots of different places that you can go and search for these places or search for these different packaging and things. Even Walmart sells some of it now, which is like blowing my mind, which is
Yeah.
interesting because that's like, yes, that sounds affordable. But if you look at the ingredients, and that's part of it too, is knowing what you're looking for, and you find a recipe or an ingredient list that matches what it is that you need for your specific case. So maybe you need like a milk-free recipe. Maybe you need something that's without eggs. Maybe you want to watch sugar and not have like 24 grams of sugar per serving, which is way more than a kid should have in a day.
Yeah.
Um, all of those things. There are different brands and different things that you can look at to do that. But some quick wins that we were able to do for that particular party, fruit actually went a long way. Even with the kids that didn't have the food allergies, they were like eating up the blueberries and eating up the little mandarin oranges that we brought, more so than anything. And for my son, we made him a pizza that he could eat with dairy-free cheese and a specific crust that we knew was safe for him. We put all of his favorite toppings on it. He had pizza just like the rest of them there. And then for like candy and suckers, there's different things that you can do. There's a brand called Zolly Pops that don't have sugar in it. And my kids love those things. Now, I will say that those do have sugar alcohols in them, and sometimes sugar alcohols don't
Yeah.
jive great with systems. So you have to kind of
Mhm.
look and see. But
Mhm.
there's another one called Yum Earth. There is a
Mhm.
brand now that I have seen on many shelves across various stores in the nation called Unreal. Excellent little chocolate pieces. They make little M&Ms that are dairy free and amazing. And they have the ones that have milk too, but they have simple ingredients and they don't have all the preservatives and the stuff in them. And they don't have dye. That's the other thing that I was trying to keep out of our system is dyes. Um, you just don't need them. And you can color stuff with beets and carrots and a whole plethora of other fruits and vegetables that look just great. So
Yeah.
those are the kinds of things I look for. There's an ice cream brand called Johnny Pops that I love. And it no dyes, but it's super colorful and it looks like a party in your mouth because you've got the red and you have the
Yeah.
blue and all the things. And you can go outside on a hot summer day and enjoy those to the nth degree. My daughter even asks for them and she doesn't have food allergies, but she's like, these are
Yeah.
great, these are amazing. And that was the other thing I was gonna say too, like with any of these food modifications, like and especially when it comes to kids, even adults are like this because it's what we do. Our taste buds can change. And so if you're acclimated to having a whole lot of sugar all the time, if you
Hmm.
slowly start to wean that down, don't do it overnight because it won't last and it'll be like withdrawal and it'll be miserable for everybody, but just do a little bit at a time. You'll get to the place where you don't even want to have it as much anymore because sugar is great. I love sugar and we can sweeten it with everything. But too much of it can be a bad thing. It can also become highly addictive in all of our foods. It's like hidden in everything. But again, looking at some of these alternative foods and brands that offer this sweet treat and ways that you can do even natural sweeteners, like using maple syrup instead of cane sugar or agave or honey. Like I use all of that kind of stuff. And when I make my smoothies in the morning or and I share those with my kids, it's a great way to put like lots of different good stuff that's yummy for a sweet treat, especially like in the hot of summer or even on a winter day, like cozying up on our blanket and like drinking your little smoothie. It's wonderful. And it's a great way to get fruits and vegetables in. Um, you can do, there's fruit roll-up brands now that don't have dyes in them. And you can again look at the sugar content, just make sure that's not through the roof. And I mean, they'll think you're the greatest nanny in the whole world, saying like, "Ooh, guess what Nani gave me today?"
Yeah.
That kind of
You
thing.
are the greatest naughty in the whole world,
Yes,
Lorraine.
Thanks,
definitely.
Joy. I
Definitely.
feel like it.
Yeah. But I mean, even if you want like a salty snack, I mean, there's organic popcorns out there. Like I know
Mm,
we have a store called Lidl in our area, and they have organic popcorn that's made with olive oil. Well, yes, please, let's do that. It's olive oil, corn, and salt. And it's
Yeah.
non-GMO. Yes, please, all day long. Like I feel great
Yeah.
about that. And it's not something that you have to pop in the microwave and have all the chemicals and things that come with those brands typically. You just open the bag, you pour it in a bowl, and you have a movie night. I mean, like, there's so many cool things that you can do with young ones, and even go out on a date. Like, you and your spouse, like, you're an empty nester and you want to pop a movie, from Netflix or whatever up onto your screen, pour a bowl of popcorn with that, and then you're eating all the right stuff. I mean, it's simple
Yeah.
changes like that that honestly make a world of difference in your health and that of your family too. And it doesn't mean you have to skip out. And if they go to the birthday party and they have a cupcake, they have a cupcake. And then make sure that you just supplement later on. Like maybe that's the only big dessert that they have for the whole day. And then you give them lots of fruits and vegetables to kind of and specifically the fruits, because I know like with mine, they always love the sweet stuff. But use that as a thing of, oh, this is the dessert we're having tonight. And once you start establishing those patterns, like my daughter right now, she's 6, she even knows. And like she's my one with the sweet tooth. Like she wants everything sweet, like anything and everything she can possibly get that's sweet, she loves to put in her mouth.
Yeah.
And if I tell her, I was like, babe, you've already had your good dessert. Okay, well, can I have some watermelon? Yes, you may have watermelon. I mean, let's eat watermelon all day. So, like, those healthy habits, even if they might not be super easy the first, second, or third time, do it enough, they start to catch on. And then they start to ask for those kind of things too, of like,
Hmm.
oh, can I have the sucker that's up in the cabinet? Or, hey, you made me a charcuterie. Well, they won't say charcuterie at 6 years old, but we know charcuterie. So like the meats, the cheese, the little organic grapes, you can put like lots of little fruits, you can put like lots of little desserts and then make it a grazing table that they can
Right.
just
Like a
come and eat
party.
from.
It's a
Yes,
party.
yes, it's
it's
a
always
whole
a
party.
party. Yeah, that's
Put
right.
your organic crackers up there and call it a day. I mean, like, hum it, the whole thing. But
Yeah.
tons and tons and tons of options of ways you can spoil your grands and ways that you can spoil your kids to make them feel like they're not being deprived and that they're not having to adhere to this strict set of rules that just feels like a cumbersome thing. And to your point, Lorraine, where they rebel and feel like they have to
Hmm.
hoard it or they have to hide it or there's something inherently bad or wrong with them that
Yeah.
they can't have it or they shouldn't have it or they need to be in like deprivation mode. Like we have to unlock some of that thinking and help them just to have a good relationship with food so that
Hmm.
they can then in turn make good and healthy choices as they get older for the younger ones. But even us as adults, that we don't feel this innate sense of guilt and that we're beating ourselves up over not adhering to this very strict set of rules. It's just not any way to live. I mean, you got to
No.
have some balance in your life that way.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Well, we'll talk at the end about the freebie that you have for everybody. But I know just a little bit because I follow your posts that you have come up with some recipes. I don't know if that's in the freebies, but okay. So you have come up with recipes for the kids and different tips and whatever. So we're going to you'll tell us at the end where everybody could get that freebie.
Happy to do that for
Yeah,
you.
and where to follow you and all that fun
Oh,
stuff
yes.
too.
Very important. And we'll put all that in the show notes too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
All right.
great.
So then should we jump into the rapid fire?
I think we should.
Okay.
Fire.
Go
Oh my
get it,
goodness.
Lorraine. Ooh,
Okay,
rapid
so
fire
here's your
Lorraine.
okay. Some quick questions and answers.
Okay.
Okay. One ingredient you never buy.
Splenda.
Okay. One
Or
health hack.
artificial.
Right.
Any kind of artificial
Yeah.
sweetener. I will never
An
buy that.
artificial sweetener.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
One health habit every family should prioritize.
Drinking more water.
I need to do that.
I do too. I'm guilty. I'm not
terrible.
naturally thirsty. I'm not a naturally
Me
thirsty person.
Me neither.
And
I have to
have to
force
remind
myself.
Yep. But honestly, like, it is incredible how I have found, like, if you drink enough water, that fatigue tends to lift and you have more mind clarity and all things.
And no headaches. And
No
yeah.
headaches. Yes, it supports so much stuff. So yes, water.
Yeah. Good one. A wellness myth you'd love to bust.
Oh gosh. That everything has to be fixed with a pill. Yep.
Right.
A pill for every ill.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your favorite healthy snack? I'm kind of thinking it might be popcorn.
I do like popcorn. I do. My favorite healthy snack, though, is probably a fresh piece of fruit.
Okay.
I love munching on like a piece of watermelon. I love oranges. Citrus is like one of my favorite things. And if you can't do acidic things, I mean, you could do like grapes or you could do a pear, something like that. But yeah, I like fresh fruit. That's one of my favorite healthy snacks. Because I don't know, maybe because it helps quench that thirst thing without having to
Yeah.
drink all the water. I don't know.
Yeah, you may be eating your water. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Have you found the cotton candy grapes?
Yes, I have. In
Oh my
fact,
gosh.
one of my kids was asking me about that the other day and saying, "Can we get some of those? Those tasted really good." It's like, yeah, we can
Yeah.
try those.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
Okay. And this last one. One thing listeners can do today to improve family health.
Start asking the right questions and listen to your body. Make sure you are very intentional about heeding your symptoms and logging that away just as information. I think if you can start small, that's going to make the biggest impact and difference. And even if you just do one thing a month, start there. Start with where your threshold is and then start incrementally building. Maybe you're really ambitious and want to do one thing a week. Awesome. But give yourself the time to really get that ingrained in your system before you jump to the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 things. It can get a lot really fast. And so if you can just do one, ask the right questions, listen to your body. And I know I'm giving you 3, not just one answer. Sorry.
That's okay.
But
Okay.
It's all
it's all kind
intertwined.
of wrapped into
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen to your body, ask the right questions, and then start small.
Okay.
Nice.
Good.
Well, haha. The question portion of the episode continues. The way we wrap it up is we are so lucky that we have such wonderful guests on our show, and each one of them has important information to share, of course, but also different life philosophies. And so these next
Right.
few questions give us an opportunity to explore your life philosophies and allow you to share that with our
Yes.
demographic.
Sounds
So-
good.
Kate Cherry, this is your life.
This is your life, Kate Cherry. That's right.
I like it.
Okay. Number 1, if your 80-year-old self could whisper something to you right now, what would she say? Well, first of all, she'd say, "You look great."
Thank you, Joy. You're so kind. If my 80-year-old self could whisper something to me right now, I think it would be treat your body well. Set the stage now to where you want to be and make sure that you don't throw caution to the wind all the time of saying, nah, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to do whatever I want and treat your body unkind. I think you need to be kind to your body. I think that sets you up for where you'll end up and then also how your health will be as you get older.
And also
Yeah.
your family's health as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely your
for
family.
sure.
Mhm.
All right. Question number 2, and this is a good one. What's your midlife superpower? The thing you never realized you'd be good at?
This, what I'm doing right now.
Hmm.
It was
Yeah.
funny, like in college, I actually thought like I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in school. I went in undecided and decide at the end of it all of my freshman year was like, okay, I'm going to go into communications, and it's been great, and I've used that skill to the nth degree. But I also, one of the majors that I had looked at early on was nursing. And then I got overwhelmed and intimidated by all the math, science, and other things that would come with that and biology, everything else I had to
Mhm.
learn. And I said, maybe that's not the season for me. And daggone if it hasn't come full circle that I have become an in-home nurse to my children with all of the health issues and learning how to change feeding tubes and learning how to administer medicine and deal with crazy health symptoms. I mean, all the things. And ultimately unlocking what I feel to be true foundational health, building it from the ground up, and then helping other families do the same.
Wow. Boy,
Yeah.
that makes me and my finger puppets feel kind of dumb right now. I'm just saying.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Number 3. What's something you stopped apologizing for?
I have stopped apologizing for being different.
Hmm.
I know what's good for me. I know what's good for my family. And if that doesn't jive with everybody, cool. You go do you. But for us, and especially because I have seen the metamorphic change that it has made in my son's life in particular, but really across all of my children, because there's different issues all across, but specifically with his health. I don't apologize for that anymore. And if we need to show up and be different and bring our own food into our restaurant, great. That's what we're going to do. And I've never had any pushback on that out of all of the years that we have had to be different. I mean, to give you some frame of reference, like my son has never actually had a full meal in a restaurant before because we cannot do the cross contamination and the allergies
Right.
have been so vast and wide and nuanced and everything else.
Mhm.
And not just allergies for the IgE reactions, the hives, the anaphylaxia, all of
Yeah.
it, but for the internal reactions too. And it's ever changing. And so we bring our food everywhere. I mean, we were just at a restaurant last night and we packed it in. Nobody ever questions it. And so I don't apologize for that. I don't apologize for being different. I don't apologize for the needs that we have. We just have to learn how to work within them and do what we have to do to survive. And I want some normalcy in our lives. I don't want to always have to be at home. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, Kate, we do want you to tell everybody now where they can find you,
Of
where
course.
they can follow you, your website, tell us a little bit about the freebie. And of course, all of that will be in the show notes, all the links to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So my business is called MissioWay, and specifically MissioWay Health and Wellness. And we have a website. It's called MissioWay.com, and it talks about all things holistic health on there. And the couple of freebies that I have is I have an allergy swap guide. So if there are any ingredients that you need to swap out because they are either sensitive to them or you have allergies to them, or maybe you just want to avoid them because they're inflammatory or whatever, I have a guide that goes through the top 5 of those and easy swaps that you can make simply and that you can mostly find in any grocery store across the nation. And then I have another guide that helps you learn how to shop the grocery store efficiently and what to pack your cart with and what to then put on as secondary things so that you can get in and out of a store quickly. You know where to find everything and you know the approach and mindset to go in with so that you make healthy decisions from there. With that website too, yes, there are a couple of small recipes that I have that people can take that they can enjoy. You can find me on Instagram at MissioWay Health and Wellness. I have a bunch of different resources tools, recipes, different things that I've posted about on that channel. And then you can also find, and that's same as Facebook, MissioWay Health and Wellness. And then you can also find me on YouTube for MissioWay. And that's where I'm starting to share my long form content, where I go into some deep dives of different health aspects, some of which we touched on today. If you want more in depth, like what's the difference between an allergy and a sensitivity? How do you know the difference? And what are the treatment plans for all of that? Or to your question that you asked me early on, Joy, what do you do when you are just starting out and you feel completely overwhelmed? I have had some guests on my podcast, including my nutritionist. And so those resources may be really helpful for you as you start to unpack and unlock what this whole holistic health journey may look like for you as well as your family.
Yeah, Kate, I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
Gosh, you've done so much. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
It's been a
awesome.
journey. It is
Yeah,
truly
and
a
I
journey.
did want to tell everyone out there. So pretty soon, now we are doing this, we're recording this in June. So in September, Kate is actually going to do what the other thing that she is so wonderful at. And she's going to take a whole bunch of pictures of the Girlish Gurus.
Oh, now I'm
for
getting
our
nervous. I
site.
got to comb my hair and everything.
We will do great. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait.
I know we're going to have a
Same.
lot of fun. So
I love
look,
that.
A fantastic photographer. So
yes,
good. Yeah.
yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Well,
Can't wait because it's been a while, but you have
It
done so
has.
many
Oh, yeah.
fabulous pictures for us. And yeah.
Yes, I've had Kate Cherry Photography as my other persona and things that I do. I've had that now for over 15 years now. I can't believe
Wow.
it's been that long.
I can't
But
believe it's been that long
I
either.
know, right? Gosh, I've met the most amazing people like you guys through it, though, and this is why I love it. I mean, truly, it's just business branding is one of my favorite things to do, and if you can give me something on holistic health, I'll do that all day, every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm grateful to be working with you guys and can't wait to make all the magic happen.
And have a lot of laughs.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
so
yeah.
many laughs. We need to you know what we should do? We should hire a videography crew to come and film us and do all
Yes.
the bloopers and the behind the scenes. Like
I
it
think
would be,
so.
oh my
Uh,
gosh. It would
I'm
be so
telling
fun.
you,
Yeah.
the
I think we
world
will.
is not ready for that collective blooper video. You know, you can't buy entertainment like that.
No,
That's it.
that's priceless. Truly, truly priceless.
Well, I have so enjoyed catching up with you and chatting with you, and
You.
this has been a great episode. There's so much good information in it, and I'm really excited to see what you do next and how things
Yeah.
unfold for you. I know it's going to be wonderful because
Thank
you're
you.
wonderful. So
Yeah,
I know
we-
it's going to be
Thanks. But
great.
you guys are too. I love everything that you guys stand for and what you put out into the world and making the difference in people's lives. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
we so appreciate you being here. You know that. We love you.
Absolutely.
We
My pleasure.
love you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so
Yeah.
much fun.
It has been fun. And I want to thank everyone who's listening for watching, supporting, and just being a part of our community. We really appreciate it. And make sure you give this video a like, a share, subscribe to our channel, give it to a girlfriend, all those important and fun things. And yeah, thanks for everything. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Sounds great.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Mwah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Girlish Gurus. We hope you'll join us next time for more fun and inspiration. Be sure to check the description of this episode for links and information about the topic, and you can find us on our social media platforms starting with Instagram, Facebook, and now including YouTube. You can find us by searching Girlish Gurus, and you can also check out our website, girlishgurus.com, for more information on us, our projects, books, and our growing community.
And don't forget to download this episode, give it a good review, and share it with your girlfriends. We would also love to hear from you in the comments because the more interaction we get, the more episodes we can post. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye!